2005 was all about one team and two drivers. Team France, along with Nicolas Lapierre and Alexander Premat, set the pace early on and haven't looked back since. The French are now looking for their sixth feature race win in a row. The question is, who can stop them? Team Switzerland has more than a chance. Fresh from his sprint race success in Dubai, Neil Yarni's aiming for his third consecutive pole position in Durban. Then there's Nelson Piquet Jr. and Team Brazil. Since their double-winning success at Brands, it's been far from plain sailing for the Brazilian outfit, but they're still in contention and currently third in the championship. And what about Team GBR? Podiums in Germany, Australia, Malaysia and Dubai have seen Robbie Kerr and his team $600,000. Can he go one better this weekend and record a precious first race win? The streets of Durban have been transformed into South Africa's own Monaco as A1 gears up for its seventh race weekend and its first of 2006. Today, it's qualifying. Hi there, it's been a longer winter break than expected, but A1 Grand Prix is once again all systems go. Following the death of Sheikh Maktoum bin Rashid Al Maktoum, A1 saw it fit to postpone the first meeting back as a mark of respect. A1 Indonesia. The new date for your diary for that race weekend is February the 12th. Now, this weekend is a series first. Gone are the traditions of Brands and the modern facilities of Lausitzring. In their place, an all-new, specifically designed street circuit, the only street circuit on the A1 Grand Prix calendar. So we can expect plenty of high drama over the next couple of days. Let's head trackside then. You'll be hearing from pit lane reporters Gareth Jones and Lee McKenzie. But first, your commentary team of John Watson and Ben Edwards.
Wait for the red flag to be withdrawn to get this qualifying session underway, and France right up at the head of the queue. The championship leaders not going to wait this time. Qualifying gets underway and it looks as though we're going to see a good number of cars taking to the track straight away.
Yes, I think it's going to be vital that you get at least one lap in, and inevitably there will be incidents. We've seen incidents this morning, quite a number of them, and that was caused by drivers going through particularly the section of circuit run turns 6 and 7. They've got to be acutely aware that part of track is a problem area, so stay well away from those curbs, otherwise you could end up with a nose that's damaged, and of course any attempt at getting a lap time in that session will be null and voided. Just as a benchmark to give you an idea of what times we may expect, this morning Team Ireland ended up fastest, Ralph Fairman Jr. doing a 1 minute 19.5, so anything under 1 minute 20 is in the ballpark.
Huge amount of interest in this car, of course, the South African car on home turf. It's Stephen Simpson, the 22-year-old who's actually from Cape Town, who's driving here this weekend, as he has done throughout most of A1 Grand Prix. Remember, we've seen Thomas Schechter at the wheel of the car as well, but it's Simpson who has the driving duties this weekend. Got a superb third-place finish last time out in Dubai. The perfect preparation, really, to come to Durban and try and get a good result in front of the home fans. And there's a good number of people here this afternoon for qualifying. They're the grandstands coming into turns 3, 4 and 5. You see a lot of people over on that section of the circuit.
We're coming up to turns 6 and 7, and you notice the little curbs on right of picture, left of picture. Those are the areas where we've been seeing drivers clipping those and, of course, consequent damage to their car. That's why we had all the red flags out through this morning's session. So far, everything's going to plan, but we're only, 1 minute or so into the session.
Green flags are being displayed from the various marshal points. This is the high-speed section in terms of a straight, but it curves. There's the normal traffic on the right. You just had a glimpse of it as he flashes through at turn number 9, second gear corner. Another second gear corner coming up here, another 90-degree right. It narrows on the exit. Careful on the exit of that one. We haven't seen too many problems from anyone there. And now coming into turn 12, the long corner we were talking about earlier.
Yes, this is a big corner by any margin, and of course then you come out of the corner on the right hand side of the track. You've got to come down 3 gears, get the car over to the left to go through the final turn, turn 13. Important to get a really strong drive out of that corner, because that's bringing you onto the second fastest part of the racetrack, down into turn 1.
Number of cars already onto their hot lap. Remember, they only get one flying lap in each 15-minute segment, and he bounced. I think he just touched the wall on the extra hairpin, but that was good control. You can do that and get away with it. Now he's into turn 2. He's really attacking.
Well, Stephen Simpson's been very much on it all weekend. He was very impressive in Friday's wet running. He came out of the car delighted with the car's handling and performance. Of course, it's a question today and of yesterday, just at which point of the day are you on the race track again. The back end of the car drifts away cleanly through 6 and 7, then the drive up to turn 8, which leads you on to the fastest part of the circuit here in Durban.
Yep, really accelerating hard now, up through the gears, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. He'll be travelling at around about 160 miles an hour as he comes down towards turn number 9, and the Netherlands have set the initial pace. Jos Verstappen, you can see his is the target time to beat. Steven Simpson coming up to the 2nd sector. He's down by 1.5 seconds.
Portugal have now gone quick as they're ahead of Netherlands and Switzerland in 3rd.
So Portugal has grabbed it. Let's keep watching Simpson here. Remember,
Czech Republic now quickest.
He's only in his first ever attempt at qualifying on a street track. He's never raced a street circuit in the past, and he's got to learn quickly on his home circuit effectively here in Durban. Let's see where this is going to put him. He's right out to the pit wall there on the exit of turn 13, and he goes 7th fastest.
Well, after that flurry of times, literally in the space of about 10 seconds, the lead went from Netherlands to Portugal to the Czech Republic. We're still waiting to see. Well, France all the way down in 5th place, and that's virtually 9/10 of a second off the pole. Not to worry too much, but nevertheless 3 more sessions to go. Ireland not yet out on track. Wait to see what they're going to do.
Inside the Malaysia pit, and look on the car, a new sponsor, and it's a big name too, Proton. The car manufacturers have come in to sponsor the Malaysian entry in A1 Grand Prix. It's a deal that will last throughout the 3-year period of the initial franchises, and that is a big story, and particularly here in South Africa, where Proton are really making a big push as well in the South African market. So the Malaysian team, good news for them, and Alex Young preparing to come out.
Yes, one of the largest manufacturers of cars in the world, particularly in the Far East. Proton supporting the Team Malaysia entry. In the meantime, Ireland, they have gone out, they're only 5th.
And New Zealand's gone 2nd, John. New Zealand have gone 2nd. They're quicker than Portugal. That's a great effort by Matt Halliday. And for the Czech Republic, who is fastest at the moment. So Thomas Enger has done a brilliant first job. France, the French car, only 7th fastest after that initial run. But don't worry, we'll wait and see what happens. There are still 3 qualifying segments to go. Anything can happen.
Yes, indeed. So far, everybody's behaved themselves. We've not seen anybody doing anything too wayward. There's a chance that Steven Simpson may have just kissed the wall, but that didn't damage the car. So we've had 13 cars so far out of the 23 here today have completed a lap. Czech Republic still quickest.
There he is, yes.
Thomas Enger, he'll be very happy indeed with that. And 1 minute 19.561 is fractionally by about literally thousandths of a second slower than we saw from Team Ireland this morning. But that was done on a run, whereas these qualifying laps, you've got 1 out lap, 1 timed lap, and that's it. You come back into the pits.
Australian car has set a time, 11th fastest of the 13 that have set a time so far. So 13 cars went out early there. They decided to not really take a risk, get a time in early. There are other cars still waiting to go out, including Great Britain, not out on track yet. Italy haven't decided to come out yet, nor have Malaysia, nor have Pakistan or Germany, Indonesia and China. Although most of those have just come out onto the circuit. So it looks as though they may be putting in their attempts very quickly.
Well, that may just be simply very good timing on the part of those teams, or maybe the teams agreed amongst themselves not to put all 23 cars out on track at the fall of the flag. Quite simply, so many cars on track would have exacerbated any potential problems. So maybe the teams are working amongst themselves to give each other the best opportunities to get a time in this first 15-minute segment.
Yes, that may well have happened, because the split is pretty much half and half. So perhaps they have had a little discussion to try and keep the track a little clearer. You're watching Ananda Mikkola driving for Indonesia, the venue of the next race in A1 Grand Prix. And he was telling us earlier on today that his priority this weekend is to try and keep the car in one piece so that it's in immaculate condition for his home race at Sentul in 2 weeks' time.
Again, Mikkola was very quick yesterday in the rain in different sessions. So now in the dry conditions, and he's overshot. He's gone wide and into that's turn 9, and he has to get the car now reversed back, try and get back onto track. Well, that's 1 of 4 down, and forget the first of the 4.
Yeah, that's the end of that qualifying attempt, that's for sure. Czech Republic still quickest, but we've got Germany on a lap at the moment. We've also got Brazil on a lap. We'll have to keep an eye on Brazil, although Piquet hasn't been shining. Now, here's a new driver.
Italy is the one to watch.
Yeah, Italy, and that is the new driver. There's a bit of debris there, I just noticed, and I hope that wasn't somebody who made contact anywhere. But Max Busnelli, the driver of the blue car, the Italian this weekend, who's got this opportunity, and he's good. He's up on that. Look at that split. He's only 66,000 slower than Enger, and look how hard he's attacking.
And he is not afraid to use the throttle pedal. He's had it literally like a light switch. It's either off or on. There's nothing in between. Busnelli has been impressive from the minute he got in his car yesterday morning.
Yeah, he was fast in the wet, and now he seems to be attacking in the dry as well. The 30-year-old who won the Pro Series 3000 Championship in Italy last year. He goes 8th fastest, and that's very creditable. It's his first qualifying attempt in an A1 Grand Prix car.
Yeah, but he lost quite a lot of time that third and final segment. He was well within the top 3 up to the second segment, then it all drifted away, so he ends up in 8th place.
More times coming in have been set now, so China have set a time. Great Britain, oh, that was Mikola. Great Britain's gone 9th fastest on their initial run. So let's just quickly give you that top 10. It's the Czech Republic, New Zealand 2nd, Portugal 3rd, the Netherlands 4th, Ireland 5th, then Switzerland 6th, France down in 7th, Italy 8th, Great Britain 9th, and in 10th place it's the United States, with Brazil just outside the top 10 on their first run, ahead of South Africa, who are 12th. Then it's Germany, Canada, Austria, Australia, Mexico, Lebanon 18th, China 19th, and then India and Indonesia.
Well, some teams will have taken the option of doing literally, let's say, a sighting lap. They may well have run on a set of used tyres. They will have brand new tyres, clearly for 2nd, 3rd or 4th, depending how they wish to use them. And a brand new set of tyres on a street track is ordinarily a major advantage. So 2 cars yet to set a lap, yet to come out, and this is one of them, the Malaysian entry and also the Pakistan entry. They are, well, certainly the Malaysian cars coming out now on a completely clear track, and who would have thought, after what we saw this morning with the session being interrupted by red flag after red flag, that we've got 5.5 minutes to go in this session, and so far everybody's kept it clean. Well, I think that's great, and I don't know why they couldn't do that this morning, because that session, which was due to last for 1 hour, went on to an hour and a half, and they didn't even get an hour of running in that hour and a half. Suddenly, when it's pressure, well, they're responding.
They are. Well, let's see what Young does, because he was quick this morning, although he did go off down at the corner he's coming up to now, turn number 2. He braked too late, admitted his mistake, went off, hit the tyres on the outside, but they've replaced the nose, obviously, and just before he went off, he had set the 3rd fastest lap.
Yes, whether he just, I don't know, lack of concentration, but certainly coming into turn 2, as we look into the Team Pakistan garage, they're working away. There was suspension damage to that car, the right side against the concrete barrier, as well as bodywork damage, the nose and the front wing. So this looks like it'll miss this first qualifying session as Team Brazil has their car pushed back to the garage. Maybe a disappointing run from Nelson Piquet Jr. down in 11th place on a 1:20.9, and that's 1.9 seconds away from the current fastest lap, still held by Czech Republic.
Yep, but we'll wait to see which cars are on good tyres. Maybe they will change around. Remember, their 2 fastest times out of the 4 qualifying segments are added together to give them the grid position for the sprint race. So they've still got 3 more opportunities after this, and it's the best 2 that count. Looking down over the beach in the background, the Indian Ocean breaking over the sand, and in the foreground, in the middle there, the pit lane where the activity is taking place. The Malaysian car, the only car on circuit at the moment, and is just going on to his hot lap.
So Alex Young has the racetrack all to himself, because Team Pakistan, the only car that has yet to run still in the garage, it will not run in this session. So Alex Young got a clear track, there's no excuses, he's got the best opportunity to put himself back up into where he thinks he should rightly be, at least top 6, and he'll probably look for higher to give his new sponsor the support that they feel they should have.
Experience in Formula 1, experience in champ cars as well, so he's no stranger to street tracks, and that's probably why he was so cross with himself earlier.
Coming up to the turn 6 and 7 corners through those, cleaning no problem this time for Team Malaysia. Into turn 8 and onto the quickest part of the racetrack, runs out against the wall. We saw one car this morning just cream down that wall, that was Team USA, and they got a damaged suspension for that little penalty.
Yep, USA currently 10th fastest in this qualifying session. This could be a good run from Alex Young. He's got the advantage of a little more rubber being on the road, but that was very close.
Just 0.2 of a second away from the Czech Republic. But the second intermediate back end drifts away on the exit of 10 through the quick left right of 11, but now this long and hugs the curb, hugs the wall all the way around. That to me is the best way to take turn 12.
He is committed, he is attacking here, Alex Young, into the final corner. This is going to be a pretty good lap, maybe not quite the fastest. Will he beat the Czech Republic? It's going to put him up the front, well, 8th fastest. He lost a bit on that last section of the lap. It's put him right in a very competitive section with France, Italy and Great Britain.
Well, between the Netherlands in 4th place and Brazil in 12th place. Those cars are all covered by just under a second.
Yeah, it's very tight, and it's only going to get tighter, I think, as this qualifying session continues, as the 4 segments unfold. Still just over 2 minutes to go in this very first qualifying segment, and everybody bar Pakistan has done their run, and it didn't look as though Pakistan are going to be ready in time for this first segment.
No, and I think what Pakistan will do is they've got an amount of work they've got to carry out. They've got to do it correctly. They're not going to do it under pressure. I suspect they'll wait until sessions 3 and 4 before they send Adam Khan out.
There are the positions then. The Czech Republic, New Zealand very well up. Then Portugal, the Netherlands. Verstappen's been looking very quick all weekend. Ireland's fast. Switzerland ahead of France. Then Malaysia, Italy and Great Britain. Busnelli, very impressive in his first outing in A1 Grand Prix. Then it's the United States, Brazil and local favourite South Africa with Steven Simpson. Timo Scheider's driving for Germany. He's 14th. Then it's Canada, Austria, Australia. Will Davidson with some strapping on his wrist after the accident this morning. David Martinez is driving for Mexico this weekend. He's down in 18th. Then we've got Basil Shaban of Lebanon, Tengi Zhang for China. Then we've got India, Indonesia, and of course the one car that's not been out there, Pakistan.
Yeah, Will Davison slapped the wall. He was was the first car to stop the session this morning, and he was walking around with his wrist bandaged up. I spoke to Alan Docking, who runs the Team Australia entry, and he said, "Nah, mate, it's all cosmetic."
Well, he seems to be running okay. He's not set the best time, though. 17th. He was quick in the wet yesterday. He was fastest in the final practice session, Will Davison for Australia. But in the wet it worked. In the dry, perhaps not quite so well. Some viewing points, some vantage points out in the bay there as well. Perhaps a little too far away to see very much of the track action. Particularly, it's all hidden by the temporary buildings that have been put up behind the pits. But it's still an absolutely glorious day today to go qualifying and to build up for the first street track race of A1 Grand Prix. Alex Young being pushed down the pit lane. That was a good first effort, and especially considering that he made a mistake towards the end of that session this morning. He'll get his confidence back from that one.
Yes, interestingly, we've seen 2 nations, Italy and Malaysia, who were well up on the times at the second split on the lap, but in that final sector they drifted away by maybe over half a second. Indication maybe that part of the track is not quite as good as the first 2 segments.
So the checkered flag is about to be held out on the first qualifying segment. The clock counts down, there we are. And everybody except Pakistan has managed to set a lap. And the situation is, at the moment, the Czech Republic are on the top of the pile. Good effort from the very experienced driver Thomas Enger.
Qualifying 2 is about to get underway. Let's go trackside and rejoin our commentary team of John Watson and Ben Edwards.
Here we are, second of the 15-minute qualifying sessions, and already again the usual suspects at the very front of the field, trying to take advantage of getting out early, looking for clear track, with the Czech Republic the dominant nation in that first session, with New Zealand and Portugal following up in second and third.
Steven Simpson for South Africa just biding his time before coming out onto track. I think he is about to come out, though, in this first group of cars, if you like. Remember, as you say, the Czech Republic currently fastest, but it's only by a small margin from New Zealand, and then a slightly bigger gap back to Portugal, the Netherlands, Ireland, Switzerland and France are out in this first group.
Yeah, interesting that Jos Verstappen in the Team Netherlands entry and Sean McIntosh in Canada are really shadowing one another more closely than I would have thought was interesting, because you want clear air. You don't want to have other cars in close proximity to you when you're setting out for that one single flying lap. I would have expected Verstappen to let France go, give yourself a 5-second gap, then you start your charge.
An unpainted nose cone on the front of the Mexican car, and that's because he managed to damage 2 this morning, so he's had to use one of the brand new ones that arrived here this morning. So they've got a brand new nose cone on the front of the Mexican car, but watch New Zealand here. Keep an eye on Matt Halliday. Let's see what he can achieve.
Yes, and they've got clear air, as does Team Switzerland and Neil Yanni, so good opportunities for Switzerland to improve, for New Zealand to consolidate. As we see cars, you can see them coming out, and they're in fact, we've seen Netherlands has overtaken France, and they've decided that's the way they want to go.
Yep, they want to get out in front and get a bit of air. That's going to be the problem, though, is getting a clear run on your fast lap. You've got to judge it carefully. Well, Verstappen should have the experience to know how to position himself, and he is on his quick lap now, and he looks as though he's got a bit of space in front. Really attacking. Let's watch Jos Verstappen at work here. coming into turn 4. This is tight. First gear for some, second gear for others. A little bit of a dip on the exit. That car slithering around. We're so used to watching Verstappen with this dirt tracking style that he has.
But he's got confidence and he knows his way around street tracks. Lets the back of the car drift wide. He can control that simply by just coming off the throttle pedal, turning into the slide, but doesn't get close enough to the wall to cause him any problem.
Now he's building up to around 160 miles an hour, hard on the brakes, into the right hand, a second gear through here, right out to the wall on the exit, and surely somebody's going to become a victim of that wall soon. Into turn 10 now, tight on the exit. We've seen them oversteer a bit here.
Yeah, but made a little error. He rode the curb. I suspect he had to come out of the throttle just to check the car to ensure he didn't get a problem. Now into turn 12, virtually flat out in these conditions, probably exiting it at over 130 miles an hour.
First lap in the 118s, it's Switzerland and France as well have just put in a very quick lap. France have gone fastest. Where does this put the Dutch third? So it's France, Switzerland and the Netherlands, top 3 at the moment. They're all on their quick lap together. We followed Jos Verstappen. They all crossed the line pretty much together. The other 2 were just ahead of him, and France have gone fastest. Well, there's a surprise.
And a stunning time. The first time we've seen anybody break into the 1 minute 18s with a 1 minute 18.245. And that certainly has thrown the gauntlet down to this man here as he makes his way back to the pitch, Czech Republic. And where are they? In fact, he's on his out lap. He's just beginning, coming up to start a flying lap as we look at Team Ireland.
Now, Team Ireland put in a good first run. Let's see whether they can put something together here for Ralph Furman Jr. Wasn't feeling too well yesterday. Suffered a 24-hour stomach bug. Doesn't look as though he's going to be as far up, although a second down would still be enough for about 4th position. So if he gain a bit there. Car a little wayward through turn 11.
Yes, you've got to go through there, try and straight line it as much as possible, but there are little curbs on either side on the entry and the exit, and if you get it wrong you will be compromised as you exit out of it into turn 12.
Let's see where this puts Team Ireland. France on top of the heap at the moment, puts him in 3rd place. So Ireland are currently 3rd. It's France, Switzerland, Ireland, then the Netherlands. New Zealand, after their second run, have gone 5th. So New Zealand's dropped a few places compared to their earlier run. Team Ireland there, Mark Gallagher on the right, keeping a close eye on what's going on. Portugal have dropped to 6th place. Malaysia have climbed a bit. They're up to 7th. They went out early there, and Alex Young has gained a couple of places, or 1 place. Canada 8th, Germany 9th, South Africa's also gained there. They're up to 10th place, but remember, there's still some quick guys to put in their second lap, so that may change again.
Well, that was a stunning lap by Team France, 1 minute 18.246, virtually a full 0.8 of a second quicker than anybody else. And you got Switzerland, Ireland 2nd and 3rd, Netherlands 4th, New Zealand 5th, Portugal rounding out the top 6, and they're all covered by pretty much half a second. But what a run from this man here. Alexander Premat really just has redefined the times, the lap speeds we were anticipating around this 2.04 mile Durban street track.
Interesting how so many teams have changed their qualifying strategy, being on a street track, knowing that if a car crashes, it could be the end of that 15-minute segment. That's what happened to them in Dubai, and it caught some of them out. This time, most cars are going out early. Instead of waiting till the end of the 15 minutes, they're getting that lap in as quickly as possible.
It is a street race circuit, of course, in Durban, South Africa, the only one of its kind in the A1 calendar. Let's rejoin qualifying.
So Great Britain, Robbie Kerr has got himself into 4th place. That's a very good effort, and it is the regular front runners in terms of qualifiers that we're seeing up there now. France at the top, then Switzerland, then Ireland and Great Britain. Brazil, though, still a bit disappointing for Brazil. They're down in 10th place, Nelson Piquet. Now, there's inside the check pit. Did they have a problem? I think they must have done. We saw the car on track, then he came back in, and I'm not sure he's going to get a run in here.
Well, they're certainly putting fuel into the car. Whether there was a problem, whether they, I don't know, there may have been a problem that caused Inge to come back into the Czech Republic. Certainly fuel being added to the car as we're watching it right now. But just to go back to Team GBR, their time was actually the 3rd quickest time in that segment, but they're only 4th quickest. And that's one of the exciting aspects of this whole qualifying session, where you've got the 4 chances in each of the 15-minute segments to go out. So Robbie Kerr has got the pace. It didn't quite get him to where it ought to have done in terms of a single lap time, but it's dragged him up into 4th place, which is a big improvement from where he was after the first segment.
Just had some news from the pits which explains the situation with Thomas Enger. He did hit the wall, he broke a rear upright, and that's why he's now having work done on the back of that car, and he won't put a time in in this second qualifying segment. So the man who was fastest in the first segment is not going to get a second time in. That's going to hurt him hugely.
Well, his time from the first session was a 1 minute 19.5. Very impressive on that first run. He will have to do considerably better. He's got 2 more shots to do it, so segment 3, or qualifying session 3 and qualifying segment 4, will be key to the Czech Republic.
We're watching China now. Teng Yixiang, the youngster. They'll be celebrating Chinese New Year tonight. I hope he doesn't stay up too late. And he's also got his birthday coming up on Monday. He'll be 21 then. So it's a big weekend for the Chinese, but will he be able to match his exploits last time out in Dubai? He scored a 5th place finish. It was a good run from him. Great teamwork as well by the crew. They got him out at the right time. Good pit stop. And he took advantage of that. It's going to be tougher here, and the team is very aware that he's got very little street track experience. As long as he just keeps the car in one piece and qualifies in the top 20 somewhere, I think they'd be reasonably happy.
Well, his first lap was a 1 minute 22.9, and I would think we should see an improvement. Again, the option of whether you started your first qualifying segment on a used set of tyres or you went on to a brand new set, that's an individual driver team choice. But one would expect at this stage in the second segment of qualifying that you would be on a brand new set of tyres, and therefore you should see an improvement on a 122.9.
Let's see then where this puts him up to 19th, the 121.2. Good improvement. He puts him ahead of India and Indonesia. So that's a good solid start for Teng Yixiang. Just in the background we can see the Indian driver Arman Abraham having had a look at the monitors. Sam Boyle there looking after the engineering side of the team for China, and I think he's reasonably satisfied with his lad's performance there in 19th position, just behind Austria and Lebanon. So Lebanon currently 17th place for them. Basil Shaban, good effort from him. He's had a couple of offs this weekend, but hopefully it'll all come together for him in this qualifying session. Now, we saw Thomas Enger set that fast lap in the first segment, but we also know he's had problems in the second one. Let's see if we can find out more.
What's the problem with Thomas's car?
Lap, and he touched the wall. Are back.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. We seem to have lost sound down in the pit lane. We'll try and return to that interview if we possibly can. But anyway, the problem for Thomas Enger is that he's now got 2 qualifying segments left in which to try and add to the time he said earlier on. It's not all disaster for him. He could go from where he is now, 22nd, he could go to first, because if he gets in a very good segment time, or a quick lap in the third segment, and he'll go ahead perhaps of the French. He was quicker than the French in the first qualifying segment. We'll just have to see what happens. But the Brazilians waving their flag up there, the supporters, but a bit disappointed so far. He's back in 10th place, is Nelson Piquet.
Yes, that's a surprise, because Nelson Piquet and Team Brazil have been traditionally considered, and in fact in the earlier series, front runners. So Nelson Piquet Jr. and Team Brazil, a little bit of work to do to give a little bit of satisfaction to their fans around the circuit.
Let's see if we can find out more from the Czechs once again.
Marianne, it looks like we're having technical difficulties, and so are you, but it seems sorted out. What's the problem with Thomas's car?
So yeah, he touched the wall in his hot lap and he broke the rear right suspension. So bring the car back. This was lucky, so we can repair it and he can have a good next stint.
Is it a big job replacing the upright?
No, I think it's done in a few minutes. So it's just a problem where we have to do the measurement. It takes us a little bit time, but we have enough time. It was mainly in the beginning, and we are quite happy that he brings the car back.
Marian, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
40 seconds counting down to the checkered flag coming out on this session, but everybody who's going to do a run has done it. And as we look down over the scene here in Durban, that is the current situation. France fastest from Switzerland, then Ireland third, Great Britain fourth. Those two have been pretty close company on some of the grids recently. Verstappen for the Netherlands fifth, then New Zealand sixth, Portugal seventh, Italy eighth with new driver Max Busnelli. 9th place for Alex Young in Malaysia, 10th for Brazil, 11th USA, just ahead of great rivals Canada, then Germany, South Africa, Mexico, Australia, Lebanon in 17th, ahead of Austria, China, India, Indonesia, and then the Czech Republic, only one time on the board for the Czechs, so they're 22nd, and no times at all for Adam Khan. We don't think we're going to see the Pakistan car out in qualifying here this afternoon.
Welcome back. We're in Durban, South Africa for A1 Grand Prix 7th race weekend. We're now 2 sessions into the day's qualifying action, and France are back on top in front of that huge Durban crowd. Now, Sheikh Maktoum is, of course, an ever-present at A1 race weekends. He's been speaking to Gareth Jones about some changes that may be made to the circuit ahead of race day.
Achievement to build this circuit here where there wasn't one before. A lot of the drivers are finding it difficult. What's your view?
Well, a lot of the drivers who have experience in street races have been doing extremely well with amazing times, and it takes a lot of guts to drive at that speeds here. Durban has put on a fantastic show, and it's a pride for both A1 and Durban to cumulatively come here and make this happen.
Seems to be catching them out here and there, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean, most of the drivers who've driven on normal circuits have been used to being able to go over a chicane without a problem. But we had to make the chicane relatively as slow as possible. Otherwise, the speeds carrying on the next corner would have been too high. We're looking at making some adjustments to the chicane, possibly overnight tonight, to look at losing less nose cones and less end place. So we'll be looking at it tomorrow with the FIA and looking how we could make it go smoother.
You must be very pleased. This is probably A1's most glamorous race so far.
It is. It's the Monaco of Africa. Who thought Africa could put on a show like this? But this is the biggest event ever held in Africa. We're completely sold out. The fans are here. They're loving A1, and we're loving them.
Shukran. Thank you very much indeed, sir.
Thank you very much.
Hearing there from Sheikh Maktoum speaking to our reporter Gareth Jones, and just saying as well that there are going to be some changes made to the racetrack ahead of race day tomorrow. It is a problem, isn't it, Keith, when in the very 11th hour of a race weekend the track isn't quite ready?
I wonder what changes they are particularly, and I wonder what's instigated that. Charlie Whiting, formerly of Bernie Eccleston, now the FIA, passed the track a couple of days ago for racing here. I was surprised that I think the only recommendations he made prior to that were some extra tyre walls here and there, just a couple of them I think. So the track, obviously, as far as road circuits go, is somewhere thereabouts, but they've just got to tweak it a little bit this weekend to make it right. Drivers aren't going to be too happy, I'd have said, though, at finding a track different in warm-up tomorrow.
No, this happens quite a lot on new street circuits. You find that they put curbs in to slow a particular corner down, and the curbs launch the car and actually push the car into the wall, and maybe the curbs are too fierce and knocking off end plates. So it's something you do get on new circuits, but it's something the drivers really don't like.
Practically, it is a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? A logistical nightmare putting on a street race.
Well, you can say that again, as from scratch. I mean, as I said right early in the show, I think they've done a brilliant job in Durban to have got this racetrack the way they have. All that pit complex that's in front of the beach, I think I'd have rather seen the sand, but the pit complex, it's all brand new, all those walls and cabling that have to go in. I have to say, and again, I mean, obviously I don't drive street circuits, except quietly at night. And you drive them. I mean, it looks pretty good to me.
I'm very, very impressed, Keith. I mean, the circuit looks safe for a street circuit, and it looks very well organised, and I think it's going to put on a fantastic show for tomorrow, and I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing so far. I've seen a lot of street circuits at a lot lower standards, so very impressive.
Well, the drivers are just finding their way on it at the moment, and no surprises, I suspect, because France are back on top, Keith. Is it business as usual?
Does seem that way, but we said again at the top of the show, Pramac has a great pedigree in this. So does Ireland. I mean, they're in third place with Ralph Furman at the moment. They've both been Macau Grand Prix winners. Just that little Portuguese colony round from Hong Kong that is an annual superb Formula 3 race that you get every single year. A certain person won his World Touring Car Championship there this year. I can't remember his name now.
No, it escapes me as well. The Dubai competition, Nicolas Lapierre said during that race weekend that he thought that the competition was hotting up. Do you see it that way, or are we still seeing some of the teams just way out ahead of the rest?
No, I mean, I believe that cream always rises to the surface, and the French team are going to be very, very difficult to beat. But I would say that we haven't seen the quickest drivers come to the front yet. I think several drivers, including Jos and Yanni and Robbie, haven't put on new tyres yet, and I think they're a second off the pace. But with new tyres, I think they can be a lot closer to the French team.
Well, one man who is being pretty consistent over the course of the last couple of days or so is Ralph Furman for Team Ireland. Incidentally, gentlemen, he's been training for this, preparing for this in St Moritz with the Olympic ski team. Apparently cross-country skiing is the way to go to train for a driving competition such as this.
In circumstances like you've got here in Durban, the humidity is always very high in Durban. It's not particularly hot air temperature-wise. The track's warming up a little bit at the moment. But Ralph Furman, He's done a lot of series in fairly humid and hot conditions over the years, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, that preparation is very important because a street circuit, you cannot make a mistake, and if you get slightly tired, your concentration drops, you're very easily and very quickly in the wall. So I think it's a very clever step for Ralph to go and train pretty hard.
Robbie Kerr, consistent performance from him once more into fourth. That's how far he's managed to play himself into contention, Keith.
Well, he did say earlier on that he was building up to this. He's taken a very mature attitude to this racetrack. He's obviously learnt from old forays into street circuits before. It just takes a little bit of time to get up to the speed at this particular track.
Okay, well, qualifying session 3 is about to get started. Beautiful scene, isn't it, from Durban? Let's hand you back to our commentators, John Watson and Ben Edwards.
We're awaiting the start of the third qualifying segment here in Durban on the street track. Red flag at the end of the pit lane. In a moment or two, it'll be withdrawn and we'll be up to speed once again. Now, France are fastest, but as you pointed out to me a second ago, John, if the Czech Republic managed to put in another lap in the low 1:19s, based on what's happened so far, that would be enough for them to reclaim the top spot. But remember, France is likely to put in another quick lap themselves.
Well, of course, that's the issue. France, no doubt, will put in another quick lap, but as they stand, France was almost a second slower at the end of the first qualifying run than the Czech Republic. In the second one, they gained a huge amount, 0.8 over everybody, but Czech Republic didn't run.
So here we go. The third qualifying segment gets underway, and we'll see just if anybody can challenge France now. United States early out onto the circuit. The French car will be one of the first. He's just coming down the pit lane. There we are, riding on board with Alexander Premat as he prepares for another rapid run around this 3.2 kilometre street circuit. His fastest time so far, 1:18.2, and that was pretty much what you predicted, wasn't it, John? The fastest individual lap time, you thought we'd see 1:18s?
Yes, I mean, that was my guess. Some of the teams thought maybe it wouldn't be as fast as that, but street tracks are very difficult to predict. It's really a bit of luck more than judgment, and as the track gets more and more rubber down, in fact, it's not unusual in a street race to see cars at the end of a race actually lapping quicker than they might have qualified in, purely because the amount of rubber goes down just brings the grip to the cars. And I would anticipate that being the case here. I'd expect certainly the sprint race and the feature race to see very, very quick lap times indeed.
Neil Yarni for Switzerland, currently second fastest on the aggregate times. His two times added together have put in 3/4 of a second slower than France, and he was a fair bit slower than France in terms of an ultimate best lap. So he's got some work to do here. New Zealand's on track, so is Australia. They've gone for an early qualifying run this time. And let's just see if everybody can stay off the walls. Now, Thomas Enger did clip the wall in that last qualifying segment, but he was able to bring the car back in one piece.
So let's watch Switzerland. They come through turn 13, begin their third qualifying session, and right behind yet again Jos Verstappen in the Team Netherlands entry.
Yes, and the Netherlands currently fifth fastest, so they're definitely challenging for a top spot here today. Round the second gear hairpin down to about 35 miles an hour minimum speed, accelerating up this straight over the bumps. You can see the car twitching around into turn 2, and Yarni just runs the curb.
Yeah, he ran to the curb, and again the flick of the car, that's how easy it is to make a minute, and he's made an error again through turn 3 into 4, loses a little bit of momentum, slow to get back onto the throttle, then maybe we'll try to compensate again, locks up. Have to be so careful. Now, this is Neil Yarni responding to the fact that he's best part of 0.7 of a second down over the previous two qualifying sessions to Team France, who's currently quickest.
Of course, Switzerland going for a hat-trick of pole positions here this weekend. They were on pole position in Dubai, they were on pole position in Malaysia as well, so Yarni really wants to make it a hat-trick this weekend. That's why he's attacking so hard.
Yes, and he's being chased down by Team Scheider and the Team Germany, and again, you can almost sense there's a degree of overdriving coming here from Neil Yarni in the Team Switzerland entry. He's trying to push the car, he's actually overdriving. Consequently, his best this lap may well be slower than his current fastest lap, which is a 1:19.56.
Let's see what this is going to be for Switzerland. USA's just put in a good lap. USA across the line, but Switzerland stays second, and in fact the USA did a quicker time there than Switzerland, so USA up to third position.
And just confirmation that was overdriving from Team Switzerland. Whoa, just coming through turn 13.
Let's see what France's lap is as they cross the line in the 18s again. Another very rapid lap there for Alexander Premat.
And a great lap also from Sean McIntosh and Team Canada up to 4th place.
Ireland on the attack as well. Currently it's France, the Netherlands as well. The Netherlands up to second. So it's France, the Netherlands, then Switzerland. But still France, the only team that's managed to get into the 1 minute 18s in qualifying. They've added 2 of those 1 minute 18 laps together, and they're now setting the pace on aggregate.
Yes, and really that lap from France, a second lap in the 1 minute 18s, is consolidating the performance and basically, but not entirely, sealing that pole position.
Ireland's gone second. Ireland with a 1:19.2, their aggregate time 2 minutes 38.5.
Talk about consistency, 1:19.258 in the second qualifying, 1:19.251 in the third qualifying. That gets you good position.
Australia goes 14th with a lap there. They're still their fastest lap so far. So segments 2 and 3 added together. But of course, we're still waiting to see a few other cars come out onto track, most notably the Czech Republic. What can Thomas Enger do to try and improve his performance?
Well, we've seen a bit of a flurry for the first 8-10 cars come out, and of course they're the teams that are the nations that are the leading nations. Others sitting back, the one of course we have yet to see is the Czech Republic. And Thomas Enger, well, he may choose to wait until the track is clear before he gives his best. Of course, he missed that second qualifying run, so he's got segment qualifying 3 to consolidate and qualifying 4 to get himself onto the front 2 or 3 rows.
Other front runners that we're waiting for to set a time, Great Britain and Portugal, both capable of popping up into the top 4 if they get a good time in. Italy as well, currently down in 11th, but waiting for their third qualifying segment attempt. Brazil we're waiting for, but they seem to be struggling. They need to find at least half a second to be really in the ballpark of being on the front 3 rows, I would say. So plenty to do for Nelson Piquet.
A home nation team South Africa. Stephen Simpson comes down into turn 1. So this is a big moment for Stephen Simpson. He's got a clear track. Half the field have already completed their third qualifying run as we look into Team France's garage, and that will be a very happy indeed Alexander Premat as he climbs out of the car. His time was about 2.5 tenths of a second slower than that stunning lap he did in the second qualifying run. As we look at Team GBR, they're about to begin their run as well.
I tell you what though, what's interesting is Thomas Enger is behind him. That's going to be very interesting. The 2 cars, both Great Britain and the Czech Republic, will be qualifying at about the same time, well exactly the same time on their hot laps. They're on their out laps at the moment. They're building up the tyre temperature, and this is going to be fascinating.
Enger dropped back from the rear of Team GBR. He doesn't want to get into the aerodynamics of another car. He wants clear track. He doesn't want distraction either of a car too close to him and having maybe then to make compensations.
So Great Britain, Robbie Kerr, he managed a 1 minute 19.1 in that second segment. If he can do something like that again, it'll put him back up into around the top 4 position. He's got to attack, but he's got to keep it clean. That looks very neat and tidy.
So let's see what we can get from Robbie Kerr. Oh, and again the back of the car just snapped away as he was turning into turn 3, under braking, then having to cut back to get across the track for turn 4, then 5 through 6 and 7. Good entry, good exit, then up to 8, up to the corner that leads onto the fastest part of the circuit here in Durban, up to 160 miles an hour.
This looks like a pretty good lap. Behind him, the Czech car was a fraction slower to the first sector. So Robbie Kerr putting in a quick lap here, trying to get himself back into a good qualifying position.
But again, the back of the car getting a little bit wayward as he comes out of turn 9, then hard on the brakes down into turn 10. Other cars are using more of the curb. Robbie Kerr stayed away from the curb, I think wisely.
He's on target for second place despite being 1.2 off France's aggregate time. He's still on target here for being second fastest. Italy getting out of the way, coming into the pit. Robbie Kerr for Great Britain. Can he claim a spot on the front row? He's really pushing, attacking as hard as he can, and he goes. Where does he go? He's second fastest. It's France, Great Britain, and then Ireland.
That time 1 minute 18.921, could have been a tenth of a second quicker in my view.
Czech Republic's come up to 6th as Thomas Enger in the 19s again. He's put his second lap in now. He's up to 6th place for the Czech Republic. We're watching South Africa here in the black and yellow colours, and Stephen Simpson's trying to move up. He's been pushed down to 18th with the recent improvements that other cars have made. He's just got the final corner to go here.
So he comes out of it cleanly again. Now the charge down to the start-finish line. So let's see where it is. Well, it's 16th, disappointing 1 minute 20.737, and that was slower than his run on the second qualifying segment.
So he's got a bit of time to find there. We're still waiting for Portugal, Italy and Malaysia to finish their laps. Maybe Italy had a problem because we saw him actually out there and he may have touched the barrier somewhere. Let's take a look. We've got a replay here of Italy. What did he do? Overrun the corner?
Well, yes, he did. Well, he just overran the corner, just got the back end and spun around. Did he clip the barrier? Did he stay off it? He did. He did, but of course, he's just totally blown that opportunity. And that's the first time we've seen an error from Busnelli. He's been stunning all weekend. The only thing you can say is he didn't damage the car. He got away with it, but he'll be frustrated. The potential is with Team Italy is as high, if not higher, than at any time in the 6 races prior in the A1 Grand Prix series.
Yeah, he's been putting in a good job, but, well, a little mistake there, I suppose you had to see it. He's making his debut in A1 Grand Prix, but we're also still waiting for this car to come out. Alex Young from Malaysia.
In another potential top 6 qualifier. He's been very quick at different points. He did blot his copybook this morning. Now with the new sponsorship announced on the side of the car and the commitment all the way through to 2008, well, you've got the perfect sitting to go out and do the job for your team and your nation.
Smiles at Team France, and no surprise about that because they're on a very clear pole position. At the moment they have an advantage of 1.2 seconds over Great Britain, and that's because their 2 fastest laps added together have given them quite a big edge, so they're looking strong again. But here come Portugal and China now to go on to their outlaps before preparing for their 3rd penultimate flying lap. There's still 1 qualifying segment to go after this one. It's hotting up beautifully. Ireland currently 3rd, Netherlands 4th, Switzerland 5th, the Czech Republic in 6th, and then we've got Canada, New Zealand, the United States, Germany, good effort from Scheider, Brazil 11th, struggling here, Portugal, they're on track, remember, they've still got a bit of time in hand here, then it's Italy and Malaysia.
Well, it's strange about Team Brazil because, you know, they've been a front-running team all the way through the championship, yet they're all the way down in 11th place. Now, I just wondered, the little incident that Piquet had at the early part of Friday's first official practice session when he lost control coming into turn 13 and backed the car into the wall, I wonder if that unsettled him. He didn't exude the normal amount of confidence you expect from a Piquet, father or son.
That's right, yeah, maybe it just upset him a little bit, put him off his stride. Here we are watching Alvaro Parent, who was very quick this morning at one stage, and then he had a bit of damage done to his front wing. Let's see whether he can tie it together. Has looked good on a street track. He has a pretty neat and tidy style normally. Here we go then, onto the hot lap.
So cuts back to the left-hand side of the track. Brakes, a lot of bumps coming into the braking zone, so you want to choose your braking zone, not necessarily by distance, but at a point where you've got the most effective braking possible. Then out of that into turn 2, a corner that is easily misjudged, and many have done so over the 2 days of running.
He's cleanly out of that one. It's a curve, then a braking on the curve here through 3 into 4, which is the tight one, first or second gear, and then back out again, accelerating hard as he comes up towards the chicane where the curves have been put in and where he clipped the front earlier today.
And that's yes indeed, he did a fair amount of damage there earlier on. Oh, and the back end drifts. He let the back end get very wide too early in the corner. That'll mean a check on the throttle and consequently means a loss of time.
Well, let's see where Portugal are going to be. They are currently 12th. That first sector time, not too bad. They've got a chance of getting into the top 6, but it's very close once you start talking about a front 3 rows grid position, and thousandths of a second will make a difference. 2.8 down. No, he's not going to improve much here. That's only going to be enough to put him somewhere in the top 10, maybe not even that. So losing time, perhaps overdriving a touch here, Parent. Not his usual smooth, clean style, and trying that a little bit too hard.
Again, there's a curb on the inside of that final turn. You don't quite see it there. That's why you may have thought he missed the apex of the corner. In fact, it was simply because the curbing is there at 6 feet out in the racetrack. Goes, well, he stays a lap time virtually within 300ths of a second, which is not good enough to improve on the 12th place he held before he began his 3rd qualifying run.
China across the line to complete their 3rd lap. They stay in 20th place. That time was a fraction slower than Teng Yijiang's previous best. So he doesn't really gain anything. Still ahead of Austria and India, just behind Mexico and Lebanon. We're still waiting for Malaysia to put their lap in. Italy, we know, tried a lap but didn't get one in, so they're not going to be able to do anything. But Malaysia, let's just see, out on track now with 2 minutes to go in this segment. And Malaysia, again, leaving it to last gasp. It's been a remarkably clean qualifying session so far. Let's hope it stays that way.
Well, I don't know if somebody's been down to the teams and spoken to the respective drivers and said, look, behave yourself. You were just driving appallingly in some cases this morning. As we watch Alex Young now come out of the final turn, picks up speed, cross start, finish line, up to about 140, maybe 145 miles an hour before you're hard on the brakes all the way down through the gearbox into first gear. Alex Young, his best lap in the 2 qualifying sessions so far is a 1:19.6. Another one of those would put him in very good shape, certainly comfortably into the top 10.
So let's see how it compares to the sector times, with the French time at the top, 1.7 seconds. That's on the aggregate time, remember. If he kept it at 1.7, which is unlikely, he's only done one sector, that would be enough to get him into the top 5, top 4 maybe. But he'll lose a bit more on the next section of track, even though he is going well.
Yes, oh, again, just the back of the car. I was going to say good entry into turn 8, good clean exit. Oh, sorry, the back end of the car gets away, just too keen to get the power down. And of course, you were slightly wide on the exit. That's the consequence. And again, just almost shaves the advertising down the side of that concrete barrier.
Not doing too badly, 2.2 seconds down on aggregate. That could still pop him up into the top 8, but he's got to maintain that all the way to the end.
He turned in very early into turn 10. It didn't go right from him last time on the exit. Now he'll try to compensate by going flat out through turn 12 with the consequent risks.
Yeah, down into the final corner. I don't think this is going to be quite enough to get back into the top 10. Let's have a look. See where it puts him.
He gets 10.
Just. So 10th place for Alex Young.
But that, in a sense, was an opportunity lost. There was time there within Team Malaysia, but Alex Young, I think, was just so anxious to drag it out of the car at every opportunity that he overdrove up in turn 8 and the rest around the circuit also. So consequently, the time just fades away.
Checker flag about to come out on this session. We've got just one qualifying segment to go now, and everybody has got their times in the bank. It's just a question perhaps of taking a few risks in segment number 4. France have a very clear advantage. On aggregate, their advantage is a full 1.2 seconds. And remember, that's spread over 2 laps. Great Britain's come up to second. And Robbie Kerr, the only other driver apart from France to get into the 1:18s. Great effort from him. Furman for Ireland 3rd, the Netherlands in 4th. Switzerland dropped back a bit. They're not on for their hat-trick of poles. They're currently 5th. 6th place for the Czech Republic. Enger could still perhaps improve. Then we've got Canada, New Zealand. Good effort from the United States, Philip Giebler. Followed by Alex Young for Malaysia, who put in that lap right at the end. Germany 11th, then Brazil. Portugal, bit disappointing on that last run, Portugal. Italy 14th, they didn't get a run in that time. Then it's Indonesia, South Africa, Australia. Lebanon now 18th, ahead of Mexico. They'll be a bit disappointed with that. China 20th, Austria, India and Pakistan at the back.
I think...
Well, the track at Durban is just getting faster and faster, and Team France still have the upper hand. The final qualifying session is next. Welcome back to Durban, South Africa. There's only one qualifying session left for drivers to stake their claims for pole in tomorrow's sprint race. So far, it's Team France leading by example. Everyone wants to get a look at this race, don't they? You can catch highlights of today's qualifying sessions at 5:30 this evening, Sky Sports 1, and 8 p.m. again on Sky Sports 3. Tomorrow, of course, it's race day in Durban. Our coverage getting underway at 11 o'clock in the morning. Just like to point out that it's no mistake that I said faster and Francer before the break, because that's exactly how things are going, isn't it, Keith?
Indeed, much to our amusement, I have to say at the time. Freudian slip, but you're absolutely right. 1:18.2, 1:18.2, the 2 laps that the French have put together at the moment. Prix is consistently very, very quick indeed. But Robbie Kerr, the only one else that's into 18s. I've got to say, Robbie Kerr put 1 lap together, looked a bit steady in the middle of that lap, but towards the end he was committed.
We'll talk about Robbie Kerr in just a second, but let's just concentrate on Team France, because they are 1.2 seconds aggregate advantage over the other sides. How much faster can they go, Keith?
I think you better ask Andy that one, because I've got to say I've got no comment on it. I don't think they've had to stick their neck out yet, and also perhaps they've got new tyres available for the next session, so if they put new tyres on, who knows?
What do you think, Andy?
Well, I think that that's a very impressive performance. I thought it was new tyres in the last session in qualifying 2, but I think he's done this time on an old set of tyres. I mean, the thing with this guy is once you're sort of operating at this level where you can just go beyond the limit, and around a street circuit that is just free time, and he really is a cut above the rest at the moment.
We did think that Alexander Premat would be impressive, and he has been. Lee McKenzie's been speaking to him.
Alex, you've just said you're enjoying it out there. You're a bit of a street circuit specialist, really, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. I am very enjoying, but this is not finished. We need to wait the fourth session, but I did two best time, and this is really perfect. So I was safe because it was really hard to drive on this circuit because this is very tight, and so I hope to do the pole position.
Are you going to sit and wait, or are you going to just go straight out in the next session?
Sorry?
Are you going to sit and wait and see what happens, or are you going to definitely go out in the next session?
Yeah, I think we need to go in the next session just to see.
Thanks very much.
Yes, thanks.
Alexander Premat delighted by how things seem to be going in qualifying today. And Andy, how much experience of street circuits is necessary, and how much does it count out there in Durban? Because we know Premat does have that.
He does. He's won on street circuits as well, and you just find that extra speed within yourself. I mean, you do have street circuit specialists, and he's one of them. You've seen his pace this year on all the other circuits, but coming to a circuit like this, he's really got the fair advantage. He's got the history of Macau. He's got the history of winning, being on the podium in Monaco, winning in Po. He's very, very quick and very committed around here, and he's got more to come.
Keith, we've already spoken about Robbie Kerr and Team GBR, but let's just look at him in action as well, because he is the only other driver to break 1:19, isn't he?
I think it is a psychological thing as well. He needs to have built himself up. Premat, by comparison, arrived here very confident about being on the streets. I think Robbie Kerr, it's a little bit less for him. He needs to just build himself up to this particular track and get himself in a position where he's not scared of letting the car run out wide. He's put in a quick time. I've got to say that he's shown us a very fast time into the 1:18s along with France. So I think Robbie's still got a lot more to come yet if he can put a really quick lap in this last time. We could see him right up there. He's second on the provisional grid as it is at the minute with one session to go. But that last few turns, that last third of a lap here was absolutely 100% committed. He's just got to clean up the middle of the lap, it would look to me, Andy.
Absolutely. The commitment he had there and the speed in the last sector was sensational. And I mean, I didn't think he was going to be quick enough in that session. For sector 1 and 2 looked slow, but he really pulled out all the stops in the last part of the lap. Very impressive.
And if he does hold on to it, he does hold on to second going into the sprint race tomorrow. How important is that? Because it is a narrow circuit, isn't it, as we've seen, and perhaps few chances for overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, it's very, very narrow. Street circuits are very difficult to overtake. I think the race will be won today or lost tomorrow, in terms of it's very easy to make a mistake and hit the wall tomorrow, but really you've got to give yourself the best opportunity, qualify the car well and start from the front.
A couple of notable others that we should perhaps draw your attention to. Team Switzerland and Neil Yanni slipping slightly down the order there, Keith.
Well, I mean, it's a disaster as far as the championship's concerned from my point of view, because basically France are getting away again at the front. If Team Switzerland, if Yanni can't straighten himself out around this racetrack, then he's going to let France get away. The only main competitor that France has for the championship at the moment are the Swiss, and Neil Yanni really does need to just put this last session together to bump himself up the grid for tomorrow's race.
What about Piquet? Because he seems to be suddenly nowhere.
What about him? He seems to have disappeared off the map. Maybe he just doesn't have the experience of street circuits. He doesn't seem to be comfortable. We saw him in the tyres yesterday in practice, and he's losing the championship today.
Probably mentioning only 10th in Macau in 2004, and I think that's significant.
OK, last qualifying session just about to get underway. Let's get back to the track just as soon as we can, because things gearing up for it down there, and they're almost set in Durban, South Africa. The crowd turnout for qualifying has been quite extraordinary. The South Africans are getting behind their driver as well, Steven Simpson. Let's see how he fares and the rest of the others, and rejoin our commentary team with John Watson and Ben Edwards.
Ideally inside the top 10, top 8, probably about as good as you can expect based on the form we've seen over these 3 qualifying segments so far.
So there is Nelson Piquet Jr. just preparing to come out. He's not one of the first, though, to come onto circuit this time. Is that a risk? Do you try and get out early? I noticed that the Czech Republic car is one of the first out.
Yeah, and Thomas Enger really wants to sort of redress that damage that he did in the second qualifying run when he had contact with the wall. He was very impressive in the first one, but he couldn't consolidate. He did a good run in the third, but not sufficient, so he dropped from being quickest down all the way to 6th place. He needs to get a really strong run. Ideally, he needs to do what Robbie Kerr for Team GBR did, and that's get himself into the 1:18 point whatevers.
Yeah, I think he's capable of doing that, seeing as he was the fastest in that first segment, but it's a question of getting the clear lap in now and seeing what he can do. Now, Australia do need to find some time. Their best is in the 1:20, so they are some way off the real pace setters currently.
And just sitting looking from the commentary position, you will not see it on screen, but the wind is actually picking up. It's become a much stronger wind, and some of the advertising balloons around the viewing areas just opposite our pitch are being tossed all over the place, and that may have a small effect on how the cars, because you come out from behind buildings and all of a sudden there's a big gap and the car gets blown by that wind.
Robbie Kerr waits patiently for Team Great Britain as they wait for the right opportunity, what they see as the right opportunity to protect second place on the grid. Can GB save that place? Look at the Czech Republic car now, because Thomas Enger is onto his quick lap.
So comes down into turn 2, got to be careful not to make a mistake either on the entry but principally on the exit. Then into 3, looks much quicker into than it is in reality, just shaves again the wall on the inside. Good exit, good drive out of turn 4 through 5. Now the little incline up into 6, watch the curb on both sides, stays off it. So far, so good for Thomas Enger.
Yeah, looking good. He's had a couple of podium finishes recently. That looked nice and tidy. We're riding on board on the fastest section. Watch the speed in kilometres per hour, 240, nearly 250, 256, 258. Kilometres per hour, just over 160 miles an hour, and then he's got to get it all tidied up for the right-handers.
So good exit out of turn 10, into turn 10 out of 9. Don't ride the curb too much. He took a lot of curb the rear when you could see right up against the concrete barrier. Now through that quick right-left 9 to turn 12. Here, no doubt Thomas Enger will be pushing the pedal right through the carbon fibre footwell.
This could put him a little farther up, but he's locked a brake on turn in. Can he hold it? Yep, he's good, he's neat, he's tidy. It could put him on the second row. He goes fourth. He goes fourth fastest, a 119.2. He didn't crack the 118.
Switzerland's improved up to third place.
Problems for America though. Problems for Team USA. Now he's had a spin. Has he done any damage? I don't think he has. Let's hope the marshals... Oh, we've got a red flag. Now, this is what everybody was concerned about.
Red flag means everybody's got to stop, go into the pits, but the clock will not stop. The clock will continue to run. That'll be a car that can be removed relatively quickly as we look and see what happened to Phil Giebler. Well, he just got it all wrong down at turn 9 and clambered over the curbing and comes to a stop just literally on the other side of that. What is an artificial traffic island.
Now, of course, there were people on quick laps when the red flag came out. They're going to lose out, and they should be allowed to come back out onto the circuit, but that makes a big difference. Will there be time? Look at the clock ticking away. Can they get him back in quickly? Are we going to see people get a chance to have their final run or not? So many people desperate to get a quick run in. Switzerland have gained the most here because they've popped up into third place.
Well, it's all over for Team USA because they were ninth when they began this final qualifying run, and they cannot continue. They started, I'm assuming that was his flying lap. We weren't sure, but we were assuming that was the flying lap of Phil Giebler.
Yeah, it was, John.
It
was his flying lap, and he won't be allowed to go back out. The others, Ireland, Mexico and China, were also all on flying laps when that red flag came out.
Well, they, in theory, should be given a credit of one lap, so of course they've got to go back out to an out lap, then the flying lap, and of course if that was on a brand new set of tyres, which I would anticipate, they may well have lost the little bit of advantage that the brand new tyre on the first flying lap ought to serve up.
So Phil Giebler, the man who causes the first and so far only red flag of this qualifying session after seeing numerous red flags this morning. They've all been remarkably well behaved, and he hasn't done any damage to the car. It's just a harmless spin, lost the engine stalled, and he couldn't get going again. So the car is back in. Let's hope that we can get the green flag waving fairly soon. They'll have to check for any debris down there, but hopefully we'll be getting this session underway. There are 10 minutes still to go. Plenty of time for everybody to get their final run under their belt.
So improvement for Switzerland up to third place, directly behind GBR, and I think it would be a big mistake for Team GBR really to lose that second place on the grid. There's not a lot of difference in time, but you know he'd have to drop it somewhere. The pressure is on Robbie Kerr and Team GBR, but he should be man enough to consolidate second place.
Yes, he should be. Just what's interesting is that Switzerland, of course, now can't go back out. They were only 14 thousandths on the aggregate times. Their two best times added together, 14 thousandths of a second slower than Great Britain's team 2 times added together. So Yanni very nearly took second there, only missing out by 14 thousandths.
Well, over the 3 qualifying runs we've seen so far, Robbie Kerr, Team GBR have improved in each one of those. So one would anticipate he hasn't yet found the full potential or his own limit or the car's limit. And let's hope and see if he can do so, because that 0.014 of a second is less than a blink of an eye, and that could mean starting on the second row of the grid rather than the first.
Now, those teams have been, those teams that were on a flying lap when the red flag came out have been told they can go back out again, so they won't miss out on an opportunity here. But of course, the track's getting busier now. We're into the final 8.5 minutes of this qualifying segment, and it means that most people are going to be out there at the same time.
Only 3 cars out of the 23, only 22 running because Adam Khan and Team Pakistan are not running because Adam's off in hospital having a checkup. So there are, 18 or so cars that will have yet in 8 minutes to get out and do a lap. That's going to mean a very congested racetrack.
Now, let's wait and see what happens. Remember, the Netherlands and Ireland are the main challengers, really, for a top 3 starting position. Robbie Kerr, though, is coming back out to protect his current second place. The Netherlands there is Jos Verstappen. Now, he has done his fourth and final lap, so the Netherlands have done their bit now. He can't do any more, and he's 4th fastest, so no further improvement coming from the Netherlands. He's not going to get on the front row.
And of course, he's under threat both from Ireland in 5th and the Czech Republic, in fact, isn't unlikely to challenge. They've done their 4 runs. Canada, a very long shot, but possibly not. So Ireland really is the one that can escape from 5th place and possibly take the 4th away. I think the Swiss and GBR teams in 2nd and 3rd are probably just that little bit further out of reach, unless Ralph Fairman can do what we've seen Team France do and pop in a 1 minute 18, somewhere in the middle of the 1 minute 18 seconds.
Yeah, well, this is the one to watch then, as you say, John. It is Ralph Fairman, Team Ireland. And Ralph, another former winner of the Macau Formula 3 race, who's also very competitive at Monaco in F1, so he can really attack these street tracks, and he's going for it, building up to his out lap.
Yes, he's just about to start the lap, so again, a good clean exit. When you're doing a qualifying run, the corner that leads onto the start-finish straight, you may not attempt to take it anywhere near the speed you would do on the flying run. Oh no, we're seeing another car. This is Matthias Lauda, Team Austria, off track. Now that's at turn 3, turn 4. Hopefully it's out of the way.
No, the red flag's coming out. Would you believe it? The red flag out again, and that's going to mess Fairman up for the 2nd time.
And not only that, it's messing up the bulk of the field, because we've only got 6.5 minutes. There's the car there. They've got to get that car removed to safety. We don't think there's any specific damage done to the car. Hopefully there's an access point in that concrete barrier to get the car pulled to safety. As we look into the Team Austria, as they stand on the pit wall, they know what's happened, and they're probably talking the radio to Matthias Lauda now.
What frustration for everybody, because only 3 teams have put in a lap in this 4th and final qualifying segment. Everyone else has been trying to, but they have been caught out by the red flag. So the only teams are Switzerland, the Netherlands and the Czech Republic. Everyone else is still hoping for an opportunity.
Well, they're pushing the car. I think there is an access in the wall at turn 4, so that car will be pushed away behind the barrier. Matthias Lauda will be again disappointed, currently only 21st out of the 23 cars here in the field. And let's look again and see what went wrong as we watch Team Italy come through the same sequence of corners on the circuit, and just in too quick on the brakes, turning off power on the brakes, and fairly elementary, the back end just swaps, and that's all over Red Rover for Team Austria.
Now, clock is still ticking away, but there are still just over 5 minutes to go. If they can get that car behind the barrier, there is a slot in the barrier up at that section where they can pull it out of the way. Look, people beginning to jostle for position in the queue to get out of the pits, I think, already.
And Team Ireland, I think, is one of those cars, if I'm not mistaken, green and white and a bit of yellow.
Is that Brazil? Might be Brazil.
It is Brazil indeed. A bit of blue is the giveaway, because the blue in the flag of Brazil is the indication. So Nelson Piquet Jr. still 12th place, and 4 minutes and 45 seconds remain.
Fairman gesticulating. He can't quite believe what's going on here. Every time he tries to put in a quick lap, he's caught out by a red flag. So is he going to get his chance this time around? But remember, these tyres now have gone onto a hot lap twice, so they're not going to be at their best.
Well, they've done 6 laps. They've done 2 out laps, 2 in laps and 2 timed laps. Look at this. Look, Ralph Fairman absolutely frustrated. Is that frustration? He's mad. He's absolutely mad. He can't believe it. You know, for the 2nd time he's been caught with a red flag.
So out of the pits comes China and Brazil. Looks like Canada's about to come out. Is Ireland going to be getting back out quickly here or not? That's the question. Will they keep them on the same tyres? I suppose they might even decide to quickly stick on a set of tyres that he's already run on in one. No, he is straight back out.
I think he's just literally driven into the pit lane and sat and fumed, waiting for the opportunity to go back out. He's out, he's got a clear stretch of track ahead of him, so all he has to hope for is that nobody else repeats what we saw, unfortunately, Matthias Lauda do in that restart.
Right, now then, can they keep it clean in the final few minutes? 3.5 minutes to go in the last qualifying segment here in Durban. France are looking good for pole position, and Alexander Prix looking good for his first ever pole position in A1 Grand Prix racing.
Team GBR come out just ahead of Team Italy. So Robbie Kerr looking to consolidate. We don't think 1.2 seconds he can find anywhere around this racetrack, but if he can just stretch the gap between himself and Ireland, because Switzerland and the Netherlands have completed their fourth qualifying run, it is Ireland that is potentially the danger to Robbie Kerr for the front row position alongside Team France in pole position.
There's a good little battle between Canada and New Zealand for 7th in prospect too. They're very close in terms of times and capabilities as you watch Ralph Furman beginning to build up to a lap here.
I don't like the way Ralph was using the curb in the turn 10, because he rides the curb, and if you don't get it right, it can throw the car across track, which is not ideal. So there we look down, and Matthias Lauda ponders what might have happened, and a fairly elementary error from the young Austrian sees him watching the closing moments. Just 2.5 minutes of this final qualifying session number 4.
Right, here we go. Ralph Furman, when will the red flag come out this time? He thinks to himself. He can't think like that. He's just got to get on with it. He's round first corner safely on his hot lap, and he's got the German car not far behind, but it looks as though he's got a reasonably clear track. Oh, well, up ahead there is a car actually further ahead. Let's hope that doesn't slow him down any.
So goes through 4 and 5 clean. That is India. So I suspect that India will come into play, not at this part of the racetrack, but nearer to the end of the straight, maybe into turn 9 or turn 10. And again, just further frustration for Team Ireland and Ralph Furman. He's the third run in this final qualifying session.
Yeah, India is ahead of him. He's not going to be close enough to overtake down into turn 9. It's going to cost him hugely. Oh, this is just what Ralph Furman did not need at all. He might make the lunge for it here. He might as well go for it, because otherwise there's no point. He does make the move, but it's got to cost him hugely.
Well, that did. I mean, he went down the inside, the dirty part of the track, and of course compromised by having to turn in on the wrong line and runs wide. So all opportunity to see Team Ireland get up onto the second row of the grid, possibly the front row of the grid, that is now all gone, and it's France, GBR, Switzerland and the Netherlands occupying the front 2 rows.
Germany had quite a good lap behind though. They might improve a little bit. Well, no, in fact 10th place for Germany. Ireland remain in 5th position, and that was a really frustrating session for them.
And just catching Team Ireland cost about maybe a second, 1.2 seconds on that lap, and you can imagine what Ralph Furman is going to be like when he goes into debriefing with the Team Ireland engineers. He's going to be absolutely fit to be tied.
Great Britain's car knocked out on track at the moment. Let's just see whether New Zealand can improve. Now, New Zealand could pass Canada if they get it together here.
Well, Team GBR are being pushed back in the garage with 30 seconds remaining. They're not going out regardless. Yeah,
too late for them to settle that. They don't need to worry now. No one else can take their second place away from them. New Zealand, in fact, let's just see an improvement for them. Yes, they've gone ahead of Canada. They're up to 7th. Brazil has also improved. Brazil up to 8th. So a better lap from Piquet there at the end in a 1 minute 19.2. Much more competitive lap. But because he hadn't got a particularly quick one in earlier, he'll have to settle for 8th place. Malaysia, 10th. Indonesia's popped up to 11th as well. That's a great effort from Ananda Mikkola as we watch South Africa on track, being passed by Lebanon.
Yes, Basil Chaban makes his way, and he spins it, and he bangs it. Well, I have to say, that's the penalty of going down the inside, that part of track. As we saw with Team Ireland, it was a gamble to go down there, but Basil, unfortunately, maybe wasn't as aware as Ralph Furman was for Team Ireland, and the price is he's spun backwards into the barrier, and then the nose has swung round and slapped into the concrete barrier as well. So further work, and of course damage we don't know. We can't quite see whether it is just suspension or whether it'll be bodywork and suspension.
So an outstanding last lap by Indonesia, which has put Ananda Mikkola up into 11th place, a 1:19.2, one of the fastest laps we saw in that last session. Nobody got in the 1 minute 18s. We didn't see France and Great Britain bothering to set a lap, and it is going to be that way on the front row. France there. Alexander Premat's taken his first pole position in A1 Grand Prix. He's had 4 wins to his credit, but it's his first pole.
Yes, you can see what happened. Basil Shaban just goes past Stephen Simpson, but just wrong part of the track, too quick. Back end of the car goes round, hits the tire bail, then the nose swings round and gets the front, so tops and tails the left-hand side of Team Lebanon's car. And again, not for the first time has Basil had concrete contact here this weekend, and well, you can see the frustration. His body language is telling you he's upset with himself.
But I tell you what, he's actually got his best qualifying, Lebanon's best qualifying performance to date, despite that. Let's just check through the times. France ahead of Great Britain. Switzerland on the second row with the Netherlands, Jos Verstappen. The third row will see Ireland and the Czech Republic, those two experienced campaigners, Ralph Furman and Thomas Enger. And then New Zealand very much back to the fore here with a 7th place ahead of Brazil. Canada, a good effort from McIntosh again ahead of Malaysia. Alex Young putting in a good lap towards the end. Then it's Indonesia, a big improvement by Mikkola on the last segment. Then it's Germany, USA, Italy, Portugal. Bit disappointing that for Portugal in the end. South Africa will start 16th on home turf. Then it's Australia, Lebanon, 18th for Lebanon. And despite that shunt, that is their best qualifying performance to date. 19th for Mexico, then China, Austria, India, and Pakistan, of course, who didn't run at all today.
So then, Team France, who start tomorrow's sprint race on pole. Reaction to today's qualifying is next. Welcome back to Durban. Team France have left the rest in their wake in today's qualifying action. They take the first A1 pole of 2006 in Durban. So then we have the starting grid for tomorrow's sprint race confirmed. Team France on top with Alexander Premat, Robbie Kerr in second, Neil Jani for the Swiss in third. The Dutch with Jos Verstappen in fourth, Ralph Furman in fifth, Thomas Enger of the Czech Republic in sixth. Nelson Piquet Jr. managing to claw his way back from 12th to 8th. First time that we've actually seen red flags in a session. In fact, we didn't see one, but we saw 2.
Yes, and it's completely messed up Ralph Furman. We were hoping to be able to get an interview with him, but we heard part of it, and I can tell you at home we couldn't turn it round.
It's a little naughty, isn't it?
He was a little bit upset, wasn't he, really, at having to get 2 hot laps in again. His tyres will have been worn out. He was clearly on a quick lap. I mean, it was a travesty, really. And then he got held up by back markers. The Indian driver got in his way when he finally got to go at it. So Ralph going to have to go and lay down and have a bit of cold water.
Andy, you've been in that position before, haven't you? How frustrating is it for that to happen?
Humiliating. I mean, motor racing is either very, very good or it's very, very bad. And Ralph, he'd set himself up nicely for this opening lap. He'd found himself a little bit of space. And then, you know, to fall over a slower driver who's just building up slowly on his outlap, that's just inexperience on the other driver's side. I mean, Ralph is looking really, really fast, really, really committed, and 5th place does not justify his pace, do you think, Keith?
No, not at all. I think Ralph Furman, he's going to be well fired up for the sprint race tomorrow, though. You've got to say, you know, talking about the Brits, if we include Ireland in that particular situation, I mean, Matthias Lauda here, finding himself reversed over that chicane. That was the first red flag we had out because the car was in a dangerous position. You know, a mistake he made going in, and you can see Ralph in a moment is absolutely frustrated as he's banging his helmet, you know, in frustration that he hasn't been able to put that fast time down. But like you said, you know, you can see the frustration there. Fact of the matter is when he gets back to the pits while we're under this red flag, his tyre temperature will have changed, he will have used up his new tyres, and he's got to go and do it all again, not once but twice.
What it is a first pole for Alexander Premat tomorrow in the sprint race in A1 Grand Prix. Would you believe that? Because he's managed to win 4 races so far, so how confident must he be feeling, Andy?
Well, as I say, you win the race today in qualifying, and he's going to start from the front with a rolling start. You know, he's going to have the best opportunity to take this race and win it. Robbie's looking very, very impressive in second place alongside him. I'm just hoping that Ralph can get a good start on the inside going into the first corner and maybe make a few passes, because once the race settles down, it's going to be tough to overtake.
Pretty exciting day of race action in store, no doubt. So the day's action from Durban may well be over. I'm going about 7 weeks back on myself. But plenty of sporting action for you on Sky Sports today as well. You can catch our live rugby union games on the Guinness Premiership. Bath take on Wasps now over on Sky Sports 2. And later you can see highlights of today's qualifying from Durban, that is. 5:30 on Sky Sports 1 and again at 8 on Sky Sports 3. And of course tomorrow, race day, live and uninterrupted coverage of South African A1 Grand Prix getting underway at 11, Sky Sports 1. So a fantastic race day in prospect. Once again, a whole host of teams that will look to stop the dominance of just one, Team France.
What happens when you lose everything? You just start again. You start all over again. What happens when you lose everything? You just start again. You start all over again. What happens when you lose everything? You just start again. You start all over again. What happens when you lose some pressure? Apply some pressure. You lose some pressure. Apply some pressure. You lose some pressure. Apply some